on ESPN Sports. Once again, I am Johnny Sam Carter Decker over to my left if you're looking at the screen. And he's the man, myth, legend here on this show. Best co-host around, as some would say, as we get things going here on the show. But, Carter, it was a rough go about it. Hope you've had a good week. And we took some time to kind of settle into it. The fact that we did not beat the Lions once again. The Packers managed to not do the job. I think they played a really good game. I really think they did, but they could not get the job done. And I know people are going to give me crap. I think the refs have had a little bit of a role in that game. Just lack of calling, but I'm not going to blame the refs. I think we should have came in with a better attitude in a more fight. I mean, basically had to bring the UFC gloves to that game. I was sitting at Stadium View for that contest, and there was a lot of rambunctious, especially with the one Lions fan there. We're all like, get out. Like, these are terrible calls. Or no calls, in fact. But we've had a little bit of time to settle in on it, let the wound heal a little bit. Really, looking back, it's not that terrible of a game that we lost in. I mean, obviously, one of the top teams in the NFC, top team in our division with the Lions, but 34-31, Packers do lose in that contest last Thursday. Carter, I was devastated. And you probably saw me live tweeting a little bit, and I was really pissed off at one point, especially towards the end of the game, because I wanted to get the ball back, and of course, Lions didn't give us back, because we had our offense clicking a little bit, and it would have been nice to see what we could do. But Carter, first, initial thoughts on that game and that contest, and how are you feeling right now?
Like you said, man, I've had a good week to just kind of sit on it and relax. And unfortunately, it still stinks. It was a close game. Like you said, we played well. We started clicking towards the end. But when you face someone who is as good as the Lions are and as ballsy as their coach is, it's kind of hard to pull out a win. Again, real close, but they were the better team that day, and they went for it on chances that they had. And when they did have those fourth down chances, they made them work. So I was upset about it, and I've been upset about it. However, um, at the end of the day, I think they played a great game of football, and we started slow, but we started picking it up. And the Lions just like I said, they went for it. They took their risks. They knew what the risks were, and they came out on top. So if they're a gambling team, they gambled and they won. So I can't be too mad about it. But yeah, I'm still still stings just a little bit losing by that many points. Very minimal margin. There could have been a this or that. We could play that game all day. But at the end of the day, I'm really happy with the way our offense performed. Our defense obviously let them score a bunch of points, but for me, it seemed like we were very limiting. We felt like we were limiting them on quite a few things. Again, you can't be perfect every game, and especially not against a high-powered offense the Lions have.
Well, obviously, a lot to digest here in that game. First and foremost, I was not happy that we lost, but I already mentioned that. Glad I was around some Packer fans during that time because they did share that kind of anger feeling, which is fine, and kind of vent to each other. Had a couple buddies there; they were all upset, and of course, can't change the game any sort of way. But fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me three times, that ain't happening. And I got a feeling we're going to see him once again in the playoffs. And given that we lost by 3 points without some of our key starters out of the game, I think it's really kind of a motivating point for us. Even our first game, 10 points. I mean, really wasn't that big of a loss in a game that we really kind of shot ourselves in the foot, plexio burst kind of talk, and really didn't look real good in that contest. We had a couple missed snaps and all sorts of things in that first one. But this one we look solid. We look solid. But let's go through the stats here. Love was 12 for 20, 206 yards, 1 TD. And Goff on the other side, 32 of 41, 283 yards, 3 TDs, 1 interception. Jacobs on the ground. Once again, great game. 18 carries, 66 yards, 3 TDs for the big man and Josh Jacobs. And then on the other side, Montgomery, 14 carries, 51 yards, and 1 TD. Now on the receiving column, it was Watson, 4 receptions, 114 yards, and Jameson Williams for the Lions. He was the leading receiver, 5 receptions, 60 yards. So looking at the numbers here, I mean, we kind of kept Sonic and Knuckles in check, and we kind of really what no team has done. And I mean, somehow you were just talking about Jeff Hafley. Somehow he came up with the solution for that run defense because we didn't have a run defense in the beginning of the season, and now it looks like we have a little bit of something. What were your thoughts on containing Knuckles and Knucklehead?
Yeah, they still had 51 and 43 between the two. So, I mean, almost scratching 100. It does kind of seem like, I mean, if you look at it from the outside, yeah, like they still had 111 total rushing yards. However, usually at least one of these guys is at 100 and
That's
the
what I
other
was gonna
guy's at
say.
like 80.
Yeah,
So, I mean, if you look at it objectively, yeah, it might not seem like a lot, but compared to what these guys usually do, it was a great time. And I think what makes a bigger point that doesn't show up on the stat sheet, excuse me, is that a lot of those runs, obviously the fourth down run was the biggest one of the biggest play of the game. But for the majority of the game, they weren't getting very high valued runs. I mean, obviously they're making the most of it, getting 53 and 40 or 51 and 43. But it wasn't like they were going on those high pressure downs. So they were throwing the ball on those downs that really, really mattered, that made huge differences. Obviously, again, barring the last play where they score or they got first down, they were throwing the ball a lot. And again, against our defense, especially like you said, with the injuries that we've had, the throwing is really going to be where they caught us, and obviously they did. So I think we did a good job. Again, we're playing the number one team in the league. I know you and I don't like to say that. I don't like to admit it, but let's be honest. Let's be frank here. The Lions are number one in the league, and we stuck with them for touchdown. We went touchdown for touchdown with them. Obviously, they scored a little more points than us at the end of the game, but we did a great job sticking with them. The defense did a good job of giving our offense a good enough time to, get a little rest and get back out there. And we did all right. I don't have any big criticisms for this game. I think we played a pretty well-rounded game. Now, obviously, 34 points is a lot of points for them to score on us. But again, it's the number one team in the league. How much are we really? And they've been putting up 50 bombs on people. So let's just be happy we didn't get 50 bombed down. I was happy with it, but at the end of the day, a loss is a loss. So it is unfortunate, but again, we're playing against the best team in the league, against someone we might see in the future. I'm pretty happy with the performance. Next time, I just hope we come out with three more points than they do.
certainly indeed. I have to agree with that. Come out with more points. That's what you want to see from that Packers team. Now, right now, the Lions, they look good, obviously, but they come out every game, and I just want to, kind of talk about this a little bit. And I think it was a game where we had to talk about Dan Campbell's decision making in that contest because it didn't cost him quite yet, but I could see it costing him in the future against maybe another team in the playoffs, perhaps. And that's what I'm hoping to see come with the Packers here. Maybe a bad decision here or there. But I also do want to mention here that there was lots of talks about the refs over the week, and obviously, rightfully, I would say rightfully so. No, I'm not gonna sit there and bank it on the refs, but maybe I might bank a little bit because it makes me feel better. So you know what? Too bad you can listen to it. So like that last second or the last first down of the game to St. Brown, that same play. I mean, that's just brutal. Running that same play with the same kind of route. But then another thing I want to mention is actually on their pass defense. Now, if you watch the game over and over again, it was the same spot where I expected them to attack. It was right at their linebacker level. It's not like they were getting those deep balls over the top of us. We kept them very contained. But I think the missing presence of Edrin Cooper really played an effect there because he can kind of track guys a little bit. He's not great at it. Not going to say he's great at it. And then obviously we had Jerry Alexander. You know my opinion on that. I sent you a bunch of messages, and it would have
Yeah.
been nice if we could play some man in that area. But obviously Keyshawn Nixon, once again playing decent football. Um,
And out again.
yep. I mean, a guy that we gave a lot of crap to for in the beginning of the season. He's kind of showing
Yeah, a
up.
lot of crap.
A lot of crap. Um,
Yeah. He's making us eat our words, and again, I'm okay with it. If he wants to ball out now, that's what I've been saying every single episode. So I'll say it right now, we don't have to peak until the last game of the year. He's doing a great job of. He's progressed every single game this year. I feel like he hasn't taken too many steps backwards. He's been taking quite a few steps forward. So you're right. We gave him a lot of crap, but I think he's starting to make me eat my words, and I'm okay with it.
yeah, and he's a guy that really kind of showed up. And obviously, we had some troubles with Stokes. He's just awful. I don't know what to say at this point.
Yeah.
Um, just hasn't panned out. Williams, did he get hurt? I think he got hurt in that
Yeah.
contest, which didn't help. So we had a lot of missing pieces on the defensive side of the ball. We played really well for those missing pieces, and I know Lions also had some missing pieces, but I can't name four of those guys that are hurt. Besides Aiden, I can't name a couple of those guys that are hurt. They have a lot of guys that I don't
Right.
know. On the other side, though, We talk about the Lions and what are they doing well that keeps them in the game?
In my perspective, something that we've obviously already talked about is the run game. I mean, with the combination of David Montgomery and Jamar Gibbs, obviously against us they did decent. Against other teams, they've gone absolutely ballistic. Jared Goff has been throwing a lot of footballs, but somehow, some way, they've been getting a lot of offense, but they've been relying on this run game, and it's been absolutely dominating. Their front line they keep the defense very honest in the sense that when they're blocking super hard, and when they're doing play action, they're really selling it, and when they're pass protecting, they're making sure Goff does not get touched very often. Obviously, Goff has been fairly perfect throughout this year, barring a few exception games where he's thrown mad amount of picks. And he threw one against us, which was awesome. Um, but I think their run game has really just been where they've complemented everything. I mean, starts with the run game. If they can get 4 or 5 yards on first down, they're absolutely electric on second and third down throwing the ball, and then they get those chains reset and they go right back to it. They've been doing a great job of stringing together long drives. Now, obviously, they've bombed a few teams by throwing it over the top and getting off the field quick. But specifically in the game we played, it wasn't like that. They were putting together drives, and they were just tipping and dinking and dunking and getting a few runs here and there to get out in space and get a few yards just to reset those chains. I think that might be where their biggest uh, advantage against teams are. They've been really, really good at keeping their momentum throughout the drive. Very seldom do they stall out or do they hit a brick wall in the first or second down. If they do, it's usually on third down, not a drop ball, but like a misread or something by Goff, or it's just too far for them and they don't get the first. But on first and second down, they are doing absolutely fantastic. And again, hate to say it, but that's at least what I've been seeing recently. It feels like they've been very good at having those 6 minute drives where they're just taking time off the clock. They're not even giving any opportunity for the other team to score, and their defense is so good. They're getting the opposing offense off the field so fast that the offense just goes right back out there, and they got the same momentum as they did prior. There's not a lot of reset time for them. I think that's really what's helped them put up those big point games against a lot of their opponents.
Yeah, and they're doing a good job at it. I mean, Goff has a lot of safety net throws, I would say. Not real high risk. That's why I think he's been so successful this year. Um, Dan Campbell has figured out to keep him within that 15-yard range of passing and not go any further. And I mean, if that works, that works. But I hope a team can figure it out and shut them down on that kind of offense. Now, looking ahead here, Carter, we do have the Seahawks going over there to Seattle. A tough
Mm,
rivalry that we have. It's kind of historic, actually. Going
mhm.
back, I would say to 2007 with Brett Favre and Al Harris and Matt Hasselbeck. Was Sean Alexander the running back with that team?
Mm. I'm not quite sure. I'd have to take a look, but
Yeah, it's going to be
I
pretty
couldn't
close.
tell you.
But we do have picked that Packer once again. So, Carter, give me my first hint.
Yes, that's actually great because I was just about to segue into it. So, my person that I picked for you, which I actually told you previously was going to be probably close to the 90s, 2000s. I lied. I'm going pretty far back. I was at the stadium today and I was looking out the research. The first thing I'm going to give you is one, his name is on the wall. That meaning he has been inducted into the Packers Hall of Fame. So, um, I'll tell you the year just because it's pretty far back there. He played with us from 1958 to 72. So 14 years, good amount of years. And he's in the Packers Hall of Fame.
Okay.
I'll combine that as one, just so I give you the time era, because I was tripping with you the last time we talked, saying that it was going to be in the 90s, 2000s. So want to set that straight for you, but there's your hint. Got that
Alrighty.
locked in?
Yep. But let's talk back
All
about the
right.
Seahawks. Seahawks
There
are
you go. Seahawks.
Seahawks. We've had a lot of problems with them. I'd say the 2015, 2014 when they kind of had their Super Bowl run. Since then, I don't know. They're the Seahawks. They're still a team. But I know NBC showed that the pass touchdown interception play that ended that one game.
The Fail Mary. I didn't know they've been calling it that, but I've been watching the news and I've been watching a bunch of clips. That's what they're
You didn't know what
referring
they
it
called
to.
that?
The Fail Mary. No.
Yeah.
I never even looked back on it. When it happened, I shut down. I couldn't believe that the replacement refs would do that to us, and I can't believe that was called what it was. But yeah, the Fail Mary. Didn't know that until today.
We had the Brendan Bostic botch. That was a bad one.
Yeah, that was
And
bad. That was
then,
bad.
there's a couple others out there, but I remember Seahawks, they've kind of haunted us for a little while.
Oh
Eh,
yeah.
Yeah. But we've, I think, kind of also haunted them. I mean, I don't think it's kind of like the San Fran rivalry. We don't really like each other, don't really care. The NFC West, man, like we don't like a lot of those teams out there, and we really struggle against those kind of teams over in to our friends from the West. But the Packers do take on the Seahawks, and it should be a good contest here, Carter. What do you think the keys of the game are in this one? What do you think the Packers have to do to get the dub?
So keys of the game, and this will kind of take me back to last week's game. We need to be focused. We got to be locked in. Obviously, it's the home of the 12th man out there in Seattle. They're going to be loud. They're going to be proud. And like you said, this is a rivalry between the two teams. So
Kind of an
their fans are going to be
unestablished
juiced up.
rivalry, I would say.
But their fans are always super juiced up to play us, and we're always super juiced up to play them. We maybe not enjoy playing them, but when we play them, we know there's a little something extra there. There's some a little something extra to prove.
A little
So
gimme gimme.
what I would say, right? What I would say would be to be focused. And the reason I say that is because last game, maybe it was just me, but I don't know if you noticed it. Every time they showed Jordan Love, whether that was at the beginning of the game, halfway through the game, third quarter, fourth quarter, he just looked it looked like he was spacing out. It looked like he wasn't fully there. It looked like he was trying to play it really, really cool, but almost too cool to the point where he didn't really care. Like, I don't know if there was something going on or if he was just trying to keep a straight face the entire time. But every time the camera was on him, he wasn't talking to nobody. He was just staring straight or looking down at his pad. He wasn't really like juiced up, wasn't getting any of his guys fired up. He just seemed like he wasn't all there. And again, that's just my opinion. That's the way it looked from me and from the people I was hanging out with watching the game. So what I would like to see this game is that energy. When he plays at home, he's got the energy where he's loud, he's proud, he's getting the crowd into it. His teammates are gassing him up, and it just seems like it was missing that game. Obviously, close game. Do I think it would have affected the outcome? No, most likely not. But to me and to maybe to some of his other teammates, it just kind of seemed like he was there, maybe not going through the motions, but he was just like very stone faced, didn't really have anything going. And even when we made those big plays and we had all that, he wasn't like cheering or like, looking at the sideline going ham. He was just jogging down there to get onto the ball. So to me, I would really like to see that energy back. I'd like to see us locked in and focused on the game, but I don't want him to be that focused where we lose the fact that like this is a game, and in order to keep going and have that momentum, we got to keep up a good morale. Keeping a straight face the entire game doesn't do a whole lot for your morale. Get hype. Those big first downs, get out there and paper stack on them. And I know obviously Amon Ra did that to us, and I
Well, he's a
utterly
clown.
hated
He's a
it.
clown
Yeah,
in all the regards.
and he
Put
honestly,
him in the
after he did that
freaking
the first time,
circus.
he didn't touch the ball for a
Yeah,
quarter and a half
cause
after he did that,
he's
and he did it again
overhyped.
right after.
Yep,
And I was
I
like,
know he's
oh,
overhyped.
getting off topic, but that's what I think we
No,
should do. I
no,
think we
it's
got
right
to
on
stay
topic.
focused. I think we got to, stay locked in, keep our juices flowing, and really just go out there like the young team we are and ball out, have fun, and show the crowd what they're missing. I personally think that does a lot for a team. I think it does a lot for your energy and momentum going forward, especially when your offense is doing it. Your defense is feeding off that, thinking, okay, these guys are getting going. That's awesome. Now it's our turn to go out there, and vice versa. So I'd really like to see that kind of mentality and that grit and that that passion really come out again. I'm all for being focused and locked in. But in between the whistles, man, outside of the whistles, have some fun, first down, enjoy the moment with your teammates because this is a big year. This is a big moment. Oh, well, I guess every moment's a big
I
moment
was
when
gonna
you're in the
say,
NFL, but enjoy it. Let's go out there. Let's have fun. Let's be loose. It looked like we were very tight. Had something up the, when we were
just
playing
say
that
it,
first
just say
quarter of
it.
the Lions game. That would look like we had a stick up the ass. I'm not
There
gonna
we
lie to you.
go.
We were very, very straight up. Like it just didn't look like we were the Packers that we knew. So if we can get back to that, getting those everything fired on the same cylinder, or excuse me, all of the same cylinders firing at the same time, that would be awesome. That would really be what I would want to see.
Yeah, what I want to see is a team that just doesn't give a damn. Goes out there and plays without regrets. A team that, like you said, has a little bit of energy, a little bit of cockiness to it. I mean, this we are a good team. Given, I know a lot of Lions fans are talking on social media. Yes, they clinched a spot in the NFC, but we're 9-4. Like that's a state like in third place, 9-4. You got the
Not
ten
bad.
and three Lions ahead of you, and then you got the 12-1 goofy Lions, the cowardly Lions over there, and top. But I mean, we're right there,
Right.
and we're a tough cookie to crumble, no matter how you want to face it. I'd like to see, I know Jordan Love. I actually, he was just over at the DSG a little bit ago buying some Christmas stuff for kids, which is awesome. He spent $2,000, matched it or 3,000
Well, that's awesome. Were
for.
you there at the store?
I had to go home. I was really like not feeling good.
Oh,
I was not feeling good. I was gonna stick around, but there was no point, like, cause I couldn't talk to them or anything. We all had to be, just like help
oh, they
them.
tell you that? They said
Well,
don't
they're
go
like,
anywhere near.
cause my boss knew I was a big Packers guy, had a podcast and everything else, and he's like, "Don't go bugging Jordan Love," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know it's not about me. I know. I mean, if you
Uh,
want to talk, we can talk.
uh,
We'll have him on the show here, Carter. I would love.
yeah.
We don't. I mean, we're good to him. But yeah, the Packers. I know, like I always say this. I always say the Packers. Kingdoms don't attack tribes. Tribes attack kingdoms. That sort of mentality. But sometimes it's nice to be a tribe where you can just get and celebrate every little thing, because that's what Detroit very much does. That's why they make shirts every time we're there, and they want a rivalry so badly, because they haven't had rivalry in their entire existence. I don't believe. Maybe
Well,
the
you got to be good. You got
Yeah,
to beat a few teams
yeah,
to
you got
have
to
a
beat a few
rivalry,
teams that
right?
have a rivalry, or else it's just a beating, and that's not fun. But anyways, I would like to see us come out a little bit of attitude, and I think actually the guy that helps that is Jair, and he has practice. The last 2 days he's been in practice, fully practicing too. I looked at it this morning, and he's on the FP, the fully practice. So I would
Mm,
expect him maybe to come soon if he's not this weekend. At least hyping up the sideline, at least giving them that
right.
pump that they need. Because again, it's Seattle. It's a rowdy place. It's a tough place. And I mean, now they don't have the Pete Carroll kind of coaching staff where he just had the Legion of Boom and that sort of thing. So it's not as intimidating as it once was. But it's still an intimidating place to play. And Geno Smith doesn't come. I mean, he had his bad times in his early career, but he's turning things around. He's making himself look good for those Seattle Seabirds. And I mean, I think the Packers really do want to get something going here in the early going. Just score early, continue to hammer on. Let's now do a score prediction, Mr. Carter. Who do you got for this one?
Mm. Obviously, you know who I'm going with. I think the Seahawks are good, and I honestly, I'm a Geno Smith fan. I really liked when he took over for Russ. I think he did fantastic, and obviously, like I said, he's been growing, and he wasn't so great at the early starts, but I like the guy. I think he does a great job of, where what he's been dealt with. I think he's done a great job doing what he's doing. However, I do think that the Packers have got quite a bit riding on this. Now, obviously, I know we're pretty close to clinching our playoff spot anyway, but that's not who we are. We're not a team that's going to sell out and be, like, oh, it doesn't matter the last few games of the season. Aaron Rodgers was kind of like that. I'm not going to lie to you. It felt like that towards the end of the season. This is not that team. We're not going to be just coasting till the end of the season because we have a pretty good idea we're going to get in. This is going to be a game where we're like, all right, we just came off a really stupid loss. We are really pissed off about it. It was really close, and this was the best team in the league. It's now time to go out there and show the league that, yeah, we just lost by 3 points to this team. We're going to go out there and dominate this game. So I don't think we're going to hold them to under 10 points. I think that Geno Smith and DK and Jackson Smith and Jigba are going to be good enough to get down there and get into the end zone. And Chardonnay, actually, their running back, has been doing quite a good job the last few games. Not the whole season, but the last few games, especially the last game, he had a real pop off game with I think 100 plus yards. He did pretty well. So I don't think that we're going to hold them scoreless or hold them under 10. I think it's going to be probably 17 points for them. I could imagine them getting a field goal and 2 touchdowns. But I think we're going to go out there and ball. So I imagine we're actually going to put up 34 points, and we're going to beat them by 17. That's 34-17.
Good math. Yeah, I think I'm in the same
I went to
category though.
school.
I think the team's. I mean, I feel a fire burning in this team, and I saw it. The guy's face I saw it from was Tucker Craft. Walking
Mm,
off the field, he's getting clowned by Kirby Joseph, kneecap Joseph, and he you could see on his face he was disgusted. he's disgusted with something, obviously the team's performance, how the game went. And I think
Right.
this whole team's ready to just throw down and show us what we're made of, or show people what we're made of. And
Mm.
I think it's about time. It's perfect time. I mean, just getting towards the tail end of the season here, Carter. And we've been doing this all season, and we've seen this team progress quite a bit in how they're kind of acting, how they're kind of behaving. But now I think it's time where we kind of drop the hammer here, and we say, you know what, we're done.
Mm.
We're done playing these clownish games, and done trying to have these conversations about what could have we done better, what could have we done, differently in that game. I think now we're gonna have the conversation of why did you beat them so bad? Why did you play
Mm.
why did you not take out your starters sooner? And that would be a nice conversation to have. Just given you and I talking every week, where we had the in the early season we had these losses that were really or wins that were really felt like losses, and now we're kind
Mm.
of transitioning from we're playing good football, but we still haven't quite clicked to that level. And I think finally it's going to be now. Well, we've clicked to that level, and now who's going to stop us now? And I think this is a perfect team to go against. I mean, given the history with the Seahawks, NBC posted the famous touchdown interception again, um, and they said, "Oh, this is going to be on our station here." And I sent back, "Well, you didn't even put the Al Harris pick six as one of the key notable highlights in the rivalry."
Right.
And I think that's something to be said. I mean, I think the team feels like obviously they I like where we're actually at. I don't like being the number one team with the target on my back the whole season. But I like to be that kind of sleeper that goes into it and nobody expects you to win. So I got the Packers winning 28-13.
Okay. I like that. 2 field goals and a touchdown. We can work with that.
Yep. Now let's move
Well,
over
hey,
to
let's do one more just so we can get the second one out of the way. What do you say?
yeah,
You
it's
want your
good.
second one yet, or you still digesting the first one?
Packers Hall of Famer. Really, I'm digesting that. I can only there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them, but I'm just you. Hey, man, you're a guru. At least compared to me, you're a guru when it comes to this. So,
All right.
are you ready for the second one?
And did you
This
say it
one's
was like
also
54-72?
58-72.
58-72. All right, I have a couple players in mind.
Okay.
Okay.
This one's going to be a little bit more obscure, but I don't want to give it away, and I want you to work for it. He attended college at Illinois from 1955 to 1957. So he was a fighting Illini back in the 50s, right before obviously we went to the NFL, but he was only there for 2 years before he graduated, or I guess that'd be 3 years technically. So he graduated as a junior, went out and was with the Packers, drafted by the Packers, that is.
All right, so he's a smart cookie.
Uh, yeah, we can say that. We'll stick with that. I didn't go to Illinois, so I have no idea. But yeah, there's your second one. Okay, next segment. Let's go.
All right, moving on to the Lions. Lions have the Bills. Who gets the win?
Honestly, this has got to be the team that destroys them. The Bills have been taking, excuse me, they've been toppling towers since Josh Allen's been there. The most recent tower they've toppled was obviously the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs. Finally, put a one on the other side of their record. So I think the Bills are going to come out with this. I think the Lions have been playing, obviously really well the entire season. It's extremely difficult to win and have an almost excuse me, having almost no losses during the season. It's very difficult to maintain that, and I think honestly now is the time that the Bills can come in. They're riding this high from beating the Packers. They know that they got some work to do, but I believe they are at the Bills. Is that not correct? Or are they at home?
I do not know on that one. I will have to check.
Well, let's say they're at the Bills. I'm pretty sure they're at the Bills. If not, then someone can fact check me and put it in the comments. Sorry about that. But they're going to go to a very tough place to play. I know obviously they're in the cold, but they're in a dome. And let's be honest, it's not easy to play out at the Bills. So if it's at the Bills, I think that's going to be a great advantage for them. They're going to have to stick to their run game, which the Bills do decent at defending, but it's also really hard to stop Josh Allen. So I think Josh Allen is going to have a great day against them. He knows that this is the competition. He's a competitor. He knows that obviously this is the number one team. He's going to want his chunk of meat. So I think he's going to go out there. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring affair just due to the cold and the weather. And obviously they got two decent defenses. But I do think it's going to be up near the 20s. So I imagine the Bills are going to come out on top on this one with 21 points. Josh Allen have a rushing touchdown. James Cook won't, and it'll be two passing touchdowns, probably one to Amari, maybe one to Coleman. Uh,
So we did lose connection here, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. Carter Decker and I we were just talking about how the Bills are going to beat the Lions here this weekend. Now, Carter, we talked about Josh Allen getting a rushing touchdown himself. He's going to get two passing touchdowns, sounds like. And who are those going to, and what's going to happen?
I think, like I said, Josh Allen's going to run one in at some point. He loves doing it, and he's good at it. I think Amari Cooper's primed to score another one. I mean, he's been a favorite receiver from the whole since he's gotten there. And I think Shakir is going to get his little receiver. I believe he's going to go out there. He's been a great target for Josh. He's been catching a lot. He gets a lot of yak after the catch. So I think those are going to be your two or your three scores. And again, 21 points. I don't think they're going to kick any field goals. I think they're going to be going for it because they know what's at stake. They want to send a message to the rest of the league that, hey, we beat the Chiefs. Now we're going to beat the number one Lions. I think the Lions on the other side of that, they're going to have to run the ball quite a bit. I think the passing defense that they're going to be facing maybe isn't the most stout in the league, but they're going to do a good job because again, they understand the stakes. They're going to want to defend these guys left and right. They don't want anything to get down there. And if Amon Ross does anything else, I'm sure someone's going to come after him. So I think that the Lions are going to come underneath them, probably closer to like 17 points. Think that they're going to score at least two passing touchdowns, but I imagine instead of that third touchdown, they're going to end up kicking a field goal. Maybe that'll be their second score or third score. Either way, though, I don't see the Lions winning this one. Again, maybe a little hopeful coming from a Packer fan, but to be completely truthful, I think the Buffalo Bills have been doing quite well this season, and I think they got a lot to prove, and I think they want to prove it.
So, if you didn't know, my AFC team is the Buffalo Bills. If I had to choose, if I didn't have the Packers, it would be the Buffalo Bills. I was in Buffalo last year. Tons of fun to be there at Highmark Stadium and cheering on those Bills because it rolls right off the tongue. Let's go, Buffalo. It really does. And then they had the big train horn and stuff. Makes it a lot of fun to be a football fan. And given this game, if it is in, we believe it is in Highmark, it would be a contest where I hope it snows, because then snowballs happen in Highmark. And I mean, if, as somebody who wants to get back at the Lions, there's nothing more I'd want to do than toss a snowball at somebody. It's not hurtful, it's just annoying. And get them right on the dome, right on the helmet there. You're trying to get in the huddle if you can really launch or knock the field goal like that one kid tried to do. I mean, that would have been legendary in that last contest, but I really think the Bills can pull this one off. Again, I think it's going to have to be worked through Josh Allen. Josh Allen, unfortunately, it kind of makes it all focused around him. He is that talented. But I do think they do get a rushing touchdown, given the colder weather in Buffalo moving through. They're going to get that kind of Arctic front that we're getting right now, which is going to be really chilly, and I really hope they do get it because Goff is going to struggle in that cold because that is really cold air. I mean, we saw it in single digits, just double digits barely here this week in Green Bay, and everything moves to the east coming from the Pacific, so it keeps them on moving through. And I've been there, and Lake Erie causes that lake effect snow, and that's really nuts stuff. And it makes Buffalo really fun in a really nice environment to be in. It's actually a lot like Green Bay, so if you ever get a chance to go there, it's a ton of fun. Watching guys jump through tables, doing that sort of thing. Now they try to volunteer you, say you're an out of towner. Yeah, let's get you through a table. I don't know. I think there's going to be a big bar underneath that. And I think I'm going to break my back and have to get sent to the chiropractor or something. But you can go for it. I,
Worth it.
I did get dared to go through one from my uncle. And I told him, no, I'm okay. But I do think Buffalo gets the win here. I think it's going to be through the arm of Josh Allen. And also, it's going to be through the legs of Mr. James Cook. James Cook has been one of the most underrated backs in the league this season. I think he gets a score on the ground. Obviously, Josh Jacobs just had 3 scores against the Lions on the ground. So I would think the run defense is struggling a little bit. But I also think Actually, I'll say Cook gets 2 scores on the ground, and then I'm gonna say that's gonna go through the air, and it's gonna be, it's gonna be you're gonna have Cooper, I think, gets one, and then possibly now I'm kind of estimating really high if I keep naming another person. But who's the barefoot guy? Who is that?
Oh, that's Max Hollins or Mac Hollins. Mac Hollins,
Yeah, and I
the
think
tight end.
he gets a score too, just because he's nuts, and
Yeah, I like him.
we
I
like
like
to
that.
see it here on the Beer Meat and Cheese. So I think if the Bills put up 28, and I think the Lions put up 24, it'll be a close contest once again. It is going to be more scoring than expected, but I do think the Bills come out with a dub and move things forward. Now let's take a transition over to our West, Carter. If you know your cardinal directions, you got to go west. And that is with the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings take care of business against Kirk Chains, man. Kirk Chains
I know.
did not pull it off. 42-21's Vikings winning in that contest. We have quite a stat line. Darnold, 22 for 28, 347 yards, and 5 TDs. Cousins, he was 23 for 37, 330 or 44 yards, excuse me, 2 interceptions. Jones on the ground, 13 carries, 73 yards, 1 TD. Robinson, 22 carries, 92 yards, and 1 TD. Addison, 8 receptions, 133 yards, 3 TDs. And Mooney, 6 receptions, 142 yards. But taking a look at that game, what were your thoughts of that game?
I mean, my first thoughts were, come on, Kirko,
Come
man, this
on,
was
yeah,
your
I know.
time to come in and just knock off your old team. Like, what are you doing? And he just did not play well. Like you said, he only went, I mean, 23 for 37 isn't bad for 344 yards. Sounds awesome. But he threw 2 interceptions that were so costly at the end of the game. It just screwed him. And obviously, they got a great running game when it comes to Bijan, but it just seemed like every time they did something or every time they took a step forward, they took 2 steps back. And I mean, come on, you gotta beat your old team. I also just can't I I can't comprehend how I know the Falcons defense isn't the greatest. We all know it. They're ranked on the lower half of things. They're not great. However, they let up 5 touchdowns from Sam Darnold. Come on, like it's Sam Darnold, man. I know he's good. I know he's decent. He's been playing extremely well with his new
It's hard
team,
to
and he was
say
he
that though. It really is.
I know it's really hard to say, but I mean, let's be honest. He's good. I get it. But is he 5 touchdowns good? And the fact that the one touchdown they keep replaying over and over, whoever that corner was so lost in the sauce. He thought he was going to the pylon when Justin Jefferson was on the hash mark, and it was an embarrassing loss. I guess it's probably the best way to put it for not only for Kirko but for the Falcons too because they're better than that. They they just were better than that. And it just seemed like they fell apart. They couldn't do anything. One big thing that I've actually been hearing a lot in news and media recently is the immobility of Kirk Cousins. And it really showed that game. He wasn't moving in the pocket. He was standing there like a statue and it made it made him an easy target. So I think this loss doesn't rest solely on Kirk. Obviously, the defense was not great whatsoever,
No.
but I think Turco had a really, really, really big effect on it, and him not being able to move is really starting to show. And obviously, in all of the losses they've had, it showed. This one in particular, he just was not moving. Like he'd barely take a step. He wasn't like stepping into his throws, the lob pass, or excuse me, the corner route he threw to his tight end was just underthrown, was open. It was open. It was the right read to throw. He had one-on-one coverage with his big tight end Kyle Pitts. He just underthrew it and just kind of lobbed it up there. Like it just looked so sad. And then you see Sam Darnold making passes. And he's throwing absolute dimes and he's whipping that ball down the field. Now obviously he's younger. He's got maybe a younger arm, but still it just didn't look like the Kirk that we knew. And it definitely did not look like the Sam Darnold we thought we knew because he just went absolutely ape. So I'll give props to him on that, but just a disappointing game, especially when you and I were talking about it. We're like, dude, Kirko's going to go off. He's going to have one heck of a game
I
against his
know.
old team. He's going to do this, this, and that. And then he just flopped, and it just didn't seem to come to fruition. So kind of unfortunate, but you know what? That Vikings move on. They get another win, and unfortunately, Kirk doesn't get his revenge game.
All right, I'm gonna ask for hint number 3.
Okay, hint number three. Now this one, I don't think it'll give it away, but it'll definitely give a little bit more context. He led the Packers with 9 tackles in Super Bowl number 2. 9 tackles in Super Bowl number 2.
I think I
They
got it.
played Oakland. I won't give you the position, but he got 9 tackles
Packers in Super Bowl two, you said?
in Super Bowl number 2.
All right.
Yeah, I like that hint. I think that hint because again, you're a smart guy. I think this hint doesn't give it away to everybody, but I think you're starting to get locked in on it. I
I
think you're
feel
getting
like I have
close.
an idea. I don't know about the university, though. That's the only one that screwed me.
I knew the university was going to give you a little bit of extra, so that's why I threw it in there at number 2. I didn't want to leave that to the last one. I wanted it like you did to me. You gave me the hard one in the last one. But I think that one was going to
I
be more
thought you had
beneficial.
that one from the
I know.
second one.
I don't even want to talk about it. I feel so ashamed. Anyway, let's keep moving. Or how do I? Let's keep going.
All right, so yeah, Kirko didn't get his revenge. He, gave the revenge again to the Packers, in formal fashion. But yes, Kirko, not playing real well. His immobility is showing. It seems like his career is coming closer to an end than we think, and really just not a good look. Obviously, Lions, or excuse me, Vikings here. Vikings just continue to roll on and hold that just one game lead over us, and I mean, we've got to find a way. I think we can really beat that team if we when we face them, but we have to. I'm hoping we get a couple cushion losses for them so that we have a little space between us, but I don't think that's going to happen. Sam Darnold's playing out of his mind, and he doesn't seem to be letting up. And I thought he was going to let up about week 7, and he still hasn't. We were all hoping for the 2016 season to repeat. That hasn't happened. And frankly, just a lot of things haven't happened, and they keep happening for the Vikings. So more props to them if they can continue to win. But I really don't think they are as talented as their record shows. I think they are getting away with a lot of wins against like teams like Kirk Cousins and the Falcons, really bad teams. They had the error last weekend. I mean, who they play even? I can't even remember now. I'm so far off. Right?
Bears aired out. They had an opportunity to win that game and they just fell. So the Vikings ran away with it by a field goal.
Gotcha. And so yeah, it's really kind of a slip by, get through kind of team. I really don't see a lot of talent with them. Obviously, I think I actually saw this today. I think Jaden Reed's better than Addison Russ or Jordan Addison, and a lot of people upset about that. If Packers get a healthy cornerback with Jair, I think they're locked down. They can lock down Jettas, and then I think with how Keyshawn Nixon's playing, I'm more than happy to put him on Jordan Addison, and I don't think they get those big balls that Sam Darnold so desperately looks for. Um, you're gonna have to go to Jones, who has fumble problems, and when there's fumble problems, there's turnover problems. So I really think things are gonna fall apart. I'm hoping soon, but it doesn't seem like we keep asking for it. Doesn't seem like it's gonna happen. And but if the Vikings, they're obviously just gonna keep rolling along. They had the Bears again, back pretty much back to back almost, and
Mm.
we'll talk about the Bears real quick, and then we'll do a score prediction for both of them. But the Bears, I mean, the Bears just continue to do Bear things, and they
Yeah.
get smoked by the San Fran 49ers in a contest that was really lopsided, 38-13, in absolutely embarrassing fashion. And that one
Yeah.
is the most. I mean, come on, Bears. Like, do something. Like, poke him with a stick or something. I mean, look at
Do
Williams. He was
something.
17 for 23, 134 yards, 2 Ds. Birdie, 20 for 25, 325 yards, and 2 DDs. Swift on the ground, just butt cheeks out there.
Yeah.
14 carries and 38 yards. So basically,
So
a
screwing my
little over 2
fantasy
yards
up.
a carry. And,
No.
and then on the other side, it was Garendo, 15 carries, 78 yards, and 2 TDs more through the air. He had 6 receptions, 49 yards, and Kittle, 6 or 151 yards. There is no helping the Bears. I mean, there's no hope for them. I mean, Belichick, I know
No.
that was one of the coaching prospects. Now he's with UNC because he doesn't care about being with the Bears. He said, you know what, the Bears are such a mess. I don't want to be a part of it. And he
Yeah.
went to UNC, and Tom Brady is making fun of him on the past weekend, talking about him recruiting college kids and being like, well, we don't really want you here, but if you want to come here, here's where we'll put you. But
Right.
So basically, the Bears are doing bear things, and I'm not even gonna ask you how you think about this game. It was pretty lopsided. Obviously, the Bears just not doing much. But let's do a score prediction between the Vikings and the Bears. What's your score here between those two teams?
Man, I'm gonna be honest. I think the Bears are just gonna get walked all over. Seems like any win they had left in their sails has since moved on. It doesn't really seem like they got much going for. I mean, obviously they know their season's over, but even then, like sometimes when you got teams like that, they just decide that all right, we're gonna take the number one team we play next, and we're gonna screw their season over by giving them a loss. It doesn't seem like that's going to be the case with the Bears. It seems like they know that they're at the end of the excuse me the diving board, however you want to put it, the walking plank. It just seems like they know that it's kind of over. It seems like everyone's like, all right, just move on in the
As
next
Green
game.
Day
Let's
would
just
say,
give this
they're
team
walking
another
this
win.
lonely road,
Yeah, and they're very, very lonely in that
and they
aspect.
are.
So I imagine that the Vikings are going to end up just going all the town on them. They're not going to let up on them. They're going to know that hey, it's a divisional opponent. We want to just hand them the biggest L we can, so they remember it for the next time we play. And I think that the Vikings are going to end up running up the score a little bit. I imagine it'll probably be I'd give them 28 points, and I don't think the boys in the Navy are going to score much. I imagine they're probably going to be, well, no, they're not going to kick any field goals because they know that it's do or die. So I imagine they actually go. I'm going to give them 6 points. I'm going to get a little funky with it. They're going to score a touchdown late in the game, and they're going to go for two because they know they need it, and they're going to get stuffed so bad they don't score again. I'm going to go 28-6.
Unfortunately, the Bears have been disappointing me all season long. Even when we want them to win, they just
They
don't
seem
have
to
it.
lose.
They just don't have it. Um, Against the Vikings coming off a good win. And I mean, I just don't really see a lot with this Bears team that's really kind of moving forward. If I had to take a score prediction, Vikings 31, the Bears 7. I'll give them a score. I mean, Bears are just the
Give them the
Bears.
extra point.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
The
Bears.
Bears are just the Bears, and they really. Well, I think it's going to be early in the game when they score, and then they just don't score for the rest of the game. It's just going to be lopsided. Now, prove us wrong, Bears. Like, please, please,
Yes,
please, please win this game. You guys can do this. Like,
we need you to.
we are all begging you to do this. Like, this is your game. You guys can do. Like, I want to give them a pep talk. Just go to the mascot's face and be like, "You can do
Right.
this. Like, this
Look
is
at it.
feasible. This is something that can be done." And yeah, so the Bears obviously way too much to handle there. And Belichick said no. He went to UNC. And I'm sorry you
Yeah.
guys didn't get him. I didn't think you guys would, but um,
No.
yeah, there's a few other coaches out there that might try to take on that behemoth of an organization. But let's move to our favorite segment, NFL news. And
Yes.
yes, because we have
You
a
can
lot.
say it.
No, not quite yet. We got a couple of stories first.
Oh,
Or
we'll
we'll
save it.
start out with that. The Jets still suck. You know what?
The Jets still suck.
The Jets still suck.
No.
They lost 32-26 to Miami. And I mean the
Oh
biggest
my
clown show of organization is the New York Jets. And I feel bad for you guys cuz you guys got the raw end of that thing. And nobody,
God.
even no Packer fans really excited about it, but we're just happy we didn't get the bad end of the deal there. And
Right.
second round pick was totally worth it. With that, I think that's actually the guy we got Evan Williams pick. We got Evan Williams with,
Yeah,
so he
I think
panned
so
out all
too.
right. But yeah, the Jets. I mean, just not doing a lot of things, and
No.
really just struggle. And I'm not even going to go into it. Not even have you go into it. We had a couple other things that I'll have you go into.
Yeah, they
Just
suck. That's what all we got to say is they just continue to suck. They're not going to make the playoffs for the 11th time or whatever it is. They're now the most losing, or they have the longest streak of not making any playoffs in any American sport. They suck. All right, what's next?
what's next? What's next? It is the Lions fan actually that got in Lafleur's face. He's got his season ticket
Yeah.
suspended. Now, last week,
Boom.
when it actually happened, they only took him out at halftime. And then it wasn't until he went on the news. He went on local news, Carter, to boast that he got in the face of Matt LaFleur and how interesting that situation was. But yeah, oh boy. I think you're frozen now. Can you hear me? Yeah. All right. What are we at? 51. There we go.
Okay, I don't know why that keeps happening. I'm gonna have to figure that out because I have a feeling that's something on my end, not on your end.
Okay. We can restart.
Yep. Yeah, you were. You became frozen right at he went on local television.
Well, we'll just restart it all.
Okay, go for it.
Three, two, and on other NFL news, the Lions fan that got in Matt LaFleur's face, he's obviously got his season tickets revoked because he went on local news and he boasted about how he felt he was disrespected by Matt LaFleur for running on the field and making a statement, that sort of thing. And I mean, even when it started happened, I'm like, who interviews a guy that gets kicked out of a game? Like, like,
Right.
like you're the hero of the game. And he thought he was like, he's like, oh, this is totally normal. I get in coach's face all the time. I'm like what kind of organization runs that? So yeah, he has
Right.
since got his tickets suspended or revoked, and he is banned until he takes a course to any NFL stadium. So that's pretty exciting.
That is so funny. That's justice deserved right there. I don't think I've seen a camera angle of like what he was mouthing, but I
But he
remember
did
seeing what Matt
this.
LaFleur was mouthing. Yeah, I remember seeing what he was saying, and he was just like, he was going in on him. He was mother effing him. Yeah, that one. I remember seeing that interaction and just thinking, oh no. I didn't see it till after the game, but I was like, great. Like, what is going on from this? And then
What is kind of a clown show, over there. Oh my
that I peak comedy I could ever hear. Like the fact that he went on
god.
net or not national television, but local television and thought that he was going to get away with it. No, now you're going to have to do all this stuff to get your tickets back if he could ever get his tickets back. So good luck with that, buddy.
Yeah, and I don't think he's ever going to get him back. I would certainly hope not. But Lions organization is kind of a circus, so I wouldn't dismiss it. And then in other news, Devontae Campbell walks off the field and he says he's done. That was last night actually in Thursday Night Football. Um, he just says he doesn't want to do it anymore. Feels uh, disappointed in the team, whatever. Greenlaw comes back for the first night. I think he got more playing time than Campbell. Campbell obviously feeling disrespected. Again, another trade from the former Packers that kind of panned out for us in our favor. But yeah, that one happened. And then our final one, probably, actually, we got two here. So Odell wants out of Miami. Shocker. Shocker to everybody that lives on the planet Earth. What team do you think he's going to go to now?
Uh, I don't think he's going to go to any team. And actually, I think I saw today they have officially, maybe not they officially released him, but he has officially requested his out. So I don't think anyone's going to pick him up. I think unfortunately he's a great, and again, this is nothing against the way he plays. He's a good player. He makes good catches. He just has not been useful this year with the way that Miami runs their offense. He's just not a prime target. They got Tyreek and Odell, or excuse me, they got Tyreek and they got Waddle. Do you really think that your old okay, I don't want to say that, but you're up there in age. Do you really think
Your
your
old
old injured
ass.
ass right? Do you think your old injured ass is really going to be the one that can prime targets again? They got Jonnu Smith, they got Devon Achan, they got Raheem Mostert. Really think you are up there with them now? In your prime, 100% Odell was up there. He should have been number one at any team in the league during his prime. But unfortunately, he's gotten plenty of injuries. He's re-injured that knee several times. He's got some other issues. So unfortunately, I think his days in the NFL may be over. I don't know if there's a ton of teams that are willing to either pick up the rest of his contract or give him a new one. If he does go to a team, I imagine it's going to be for a 1 year stint. Maybe the Kansas City Chiefs will be like, dude, we need you over here now. Let's pick you up for cheap, cheap. So we'll see what happens. But if I'm going to be completely honest, I don't know if any team really takes the gamble on him. Not that
He's a
he's a
bad
locker
locker
room
room guy.
presence. You think so? I haven't heard any bad things about his locker room presence.
I mean, when he's younger, he was, but I don't know. I feel like he's gotten better, but I still feel like that kind of lives on um, with him.
I guess when I say locker room, I mean like with his teammates and whatever. I know he's put up plenty of fits on the sideline about not getting the ball or this or that or defenders locking him up and he's, angry about it. I get that, and that's just a wide receiver thing, unfortunately. But I don't
Hey,
think
you guys
that
are
I
all
just don't know.
assholes.
Yeah, there's a lot of divas out there,
Yeah.
man, that just want this and that and want to be like, come on, man, I want all the stats and the glory. And it's like, all right, whatever, man, do you. But I think that this was probably his last year. Don't know if he gets another contract that's more than a multi or more than a single year. He's probably going to end up getting the veteran minimum too. So I don't know if he takes that and just, I don't know if he's willing to take something like that. And I imagine he might just see that and be like, you know what? I've had a good run. I'm calling it. So that would be what I would think.
All right. And finally, our last subject here, real quick. Brett Favre and Mark Gastineau meet up once again for the sack leaders and the Michael Strahan case. That was a fun. Actually, this
Little
was a
flair.
long time, first time in a long time. I think Brett Favre looked actually like the good guy in a situation like that.
Oh no,
It was. Come on. I mean,
that
Brett
was
Favre,
funny.
he's had his scandals here, but he looked like the good guy in this one. And you know what? Mark Gastineau looked like really kind of the bad guy in that one, former Jet,
Yeah.
and with the sack record, and he's complaining that he wants his sack back. Brett Favre can't give you that back. That happened in 2001, Mark. We're sorry.
All right.
It's happened. It's
Right.
over. I mean, I would have thought you would have let it go a long time ago. Um, and
What weighing on his
considering
brain, I
considering
guess.
T.J. Watt tied it, Strahan's 22 and a half. Why is there even a discussion? Why do you even have a discussion with Favre? This might have been
Right.
shot before because it was at like an autograph signing in Chicago, memorabilia signing. But
Hmm.
I was just like, yeah, this was the first time in a long time Brett Favre actually looked like the good guy in this one. And
Yeah.
I mean, I joke with about Brett, but I think he's had his problems in late as of late. Um, Obviously did a lot of wonderful things for Green Bay, but you looked like the good guy, so I give you credit.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah. No
Gastineau looked
kidding.
like the bad guy in that one. And that should just about do it for this beer, meat, and cheese. But I do need that last hint.
Yes. All right. So this one I think is going to be what gives it away. I gave you a fairly easy one, especially if you go downtown Green Bay and you're by the stadium a lot. You're going to see this place fairly often. So the last hint I'm going to give you is one of the Green Bay Packers practice fields is named
All right, yeah,
after
I
this
got it. I
player.
got it.
Okay, I knew that one was going to be easy, but I also wanted to give the viewers a little bit of something to work with. I think this one will be giving it away. I know there's a few names up on those fields, but one specifically has been named after this player who, again, what was my first hint for you? He played with the Packers from 1958 to 72. He went to Illinois College, or excuse me,
University.
Illinois University from 1955 to 1957. And then, like I had mentioned, he had 9 total tackles, led the team in total tackles during Super Bowl II. What player is it?
My guess is the hard-hitting linebacker at war number 66. The man, the myth, the legend, Ray Nitschke. Is
You are
that true?
correct. It
That
is Ray Nitschke. Nice guess. I knew I was going to give you away with that last one, but I wanted to give you something a little bit on the easy side since all of them were pretty hard to guess. So awesome. You know your trivia, man.
I had it. The one that threw me off. So I actually had it from the first one. I thought of it because I'm
Oh.
thinking from because I know Ray played. He was heavily present in the '60s. Now, Illinois was the one that threw me off. I was pretty sure he played at Illinois, but I wasn't positive because I remember learning about him. And then, what was the linebacker's name for the Bears? That the big guy. His like,
Dick Butt.
yeah, Dick Buckus, the toughest name to ever grow up with. Um, Dick Buckus, yes. And I wasn't sure if that was him that played at Illinois. And then when you said the third hint was he was a Packers Hall of Famer. I'm like, there's only a few of them during that time that really kind of stood out, or that he in that. Well, you said that he led tackles, so then I got the defense side of
Mm,
things. So I'm like, that cuts it down a little bit. And I'm like, I know Ray Nitschke was in this, Lombardi era Super Bowls, and he was there. And then when you said the practice field, I was like, yeah, that's Ray Nitschke.
yep. Now his field is the not the one that's facing the stadium, right? He's on the other side, or his field's on the other side, the one that's facing like the rec center.
I do not know. I mean the layout, their normal practice field. That would be, yeah. I think Ray Nitschke fields that backside field towards
Right.
like Anduzzi's over there and that sort of thing. But
Right.
yeah,
Right. Right.
obviously a great presence in Green Bay. The Nitschke
Huge
Foundation here in
presence.
Green Bay is a great thing that they do there. Jackie Nitschke's foundation, his wife, they do a great stuff there, and he's really been kind of a great personnel. You know, obviously his legacy lives on beyond his death. Rest in
Mhm.
peace, Ray. Obviously, you're a Packers legend, and we all have the utmost respect for you. Actually, they still sell your jersey in the Mitchell and Ness style, so you can pick one of those up. But yes, I'm glad I got my first one, and Carter did not. So I'm 1-0 on the Packers.
Yes.
Pick that Packers.
No.
Pick that Packers here this week. Carter, I'm gonna get you next week though. I'm gonna give you an easier one. I'll give you something that baits you a little bit. I know.
Oh no.
No, I've been in Green Bay my whole life, so I have a lot of Packers like classic knowledge.
Mm.
That's why I thought Desmond Howard last week was gonna be simple once I said Heisman, and then I said 81. I thought for sure, because then that clicks it away from Charles Woodson. And
Right.
then when I said all those teams, I thought for sure he's not thinking Woodson. He's still thinking Woodson. But we'll give you something a
Yeah.
good one, and I got a good one. I got a good one in my back of my head. But
Okay.
this will wrap things up for the Beer Meat and Cheese podcast this week, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to tune in to us before the tailgate, and even during the tailgate, and before any of the games happening this weekend. We wish you have a great weekend, and hope your team wins. Besides the Bears, Vikings, and Lions. Actually, the Bears we want to win. But
Yeah.
signing off for the Beer Meat and Cheese podcast and We ESPN Sports. That's Carter Decker. I'm Johnny Sam. Have a great